This week in comic books, everything gets a little frosty in the DC universe. Null has returned in the Marvel universe and pretty much just defeated everybody. Comic book over. Done. Also in Independence this week, Erratic comes out, and it's basically a Spider-Man from a poor family that shoots electric webs for about 10 minutes. That sounds horrible. We're going to talk about that and some more right after the intro. What's going on, you wonderful weirdos? I'm Pocan Joe, and as always, you're pretty cool for swinging by. I read some comic books this weekend, not as many as I usually do. I only found 10 that I was really interested in. So let's kick it off with DC and their Endless Winter #1. So we're going to jump out of the frying pan and into the fire as we talk about Norse mythology in this one. Very heavily influenced into it. Basically, we have Stag. If you don't know what Stag is, it's another evil organization ruled by an egomaniac.
All right, I'm listening.
Done. They're digging around where Superman's home used to be up in Antarctica to find a bunch of Kryptonian crystals. Well, what they end up doing is they end up releasing this guy. Right now, we're just referencing him as the Frost King. But yeah, it seems pretty cool. He's basically just provided an endless winter. We also have some retcon going on where he has a connection to like Black Adam back in ancient Egypt and a bunch of the other Shazam type characters from way, way back then. So what's that going to turn into? I don't know. Right now I'm kind of on board with it. It's kind of cool. The art's pretty cool in it, especially when you see stuff like that. Like, I think it's Immigrant Song where it goes dun, 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 ah. Like, as soon as I saw that picture, that song just started playing in my head. It was epically awesome. The one thing that annoyed me in here was this whole Flash running around trying to get this work-life balance thing figured out with all the other superheroes. Work-life balance is nothing more than neo-management. It's philosophy used middle management. It started about the early 80s, late 70s, where you try to find a way to be happy at work by balancing your work and life at the same time. It's pseudo at best, but they keep throwing it in here like it's something important, and it's not. You work to make money. The more money you get, the cooler shit you get to do. There's your work-life balance. The more you know. I need to do one of those times, the more you know, whenever I have those little tidbits. All right, moving on to Batman, #104. So this is pretty interesting, according to my notes. Normally, when I read a story and it does a flashback, and then it has a flashback inside of the flashback, I find that annoying in most cases. And I was kind of upset that they just did that kind of tropey thing in here. But basically what we find out is Nightwing has some information about the Ghost Maker from back in Bruce Wayne's past. And then in that one, while he's remembering what that was like with, Batman when they met the Ghost Maker the one time, Batman had a flashback inside of his flashback about when they were friends, if that makes sense.
Sounds like fun.
It pushes the narrative. So at one time they were friends, and then apparently Batman's reasoning for becoming Batman just wasn't good enough for Ghostmaker, and that's why they ultimately split up and why they hate each other. Came to some weird agreement where if he set up camp in a town to kind of rid it of all of its evil, then Batman's not allowed there, and of course Ghostmaker's not allowed in Gotham. And obviously that truth is off because that he's in Gotham. It's starting to mess.
Yeah, I know. On again, off again. That is a complicated relationship, man.
We kind of get a hold of, what was the name of those movies? Saw thing in here, where Harley Quinn, Batman, and Clown Hunter are kind of in, like in Arkham Asylum in one of those empty rooms. If you remember the movie, you'll probably remember this too. But Clown Hunter is not strapped down, so he gets up and he's getting a sharp object to cut off Harley Quinn's head because he's still convinced that she's one of the clown people, and he's got a problem with that. And there's no talking to a teenager. So what is that going to turn into? A whole lot of horror. I'm on board with this. It's a good read. Definitely, you should be too. Next, Deceased Planet. So, in this one, we have a bunch of things going on at one time. We have a bunch of, the best way to put it is solutions. Let's think of it that way, right? The Walking Dead is walking the earth, and we need solutions.
Scare the hell out of them.
So we have 3 parting groups that have a solution to this. We finally found a cure with Cyborg finally and the greatest minds, and that was just cringeworthy. It was a bunch of woo-woo. But for the most part, our heroines have figured out a chemical, mathematical equation to heal people. They even tested it on Big Bertha, and it worked. So, Mr. Miracle's happy. Will it work on everybody else? I don't know. How are we going to get that much of a cure out? Now, the other 2 solutions that are going on is one is Trigon. Trigon. He's like risen up from hell, and he's just going to burn everything. Just everything. Absolutely. Living, dead, doesn't matter. He's the ultimate absolutionist. He's just going to destroy everything. And then our villains down in Australia, they're like, well, maybe just kill the Walking Dead, and then we can kind of be in control, and we have an Amazo army. Amazo, right? Amazo practically destroyed the entire Justice League itself a few times. Imagine what an army of those things can do. So they're going to fly out and start killing all the dead, so the bad guys can be a ruling party at that point. So yeah, a lot of things going on here, and it's pretty cool. It's some fun stuff. I definitely would check it out. We only got one more issue of this, so we're going to get to our climax in this, but definitely a good read. So moving on to Marvel, let's just not even waste your time. What did I think about The King in Black? Oh, I like it when our villain in a good story, when it launches off, stakes his claim right then and there. And Noel staked his claim, literally defeating everybody. And even Captain America is like, well, don't you worry, because we got my friend Bob, the Sentry. And Noel's like, I'm just going to rip him in half. And Sentry's like, oh no, you're going to release the Void. And he's like, Slick, I am the Void. Like, I am perpetual darkness. Oh, it was just absolutism at its best. It was just great. And then, of course, Eddie Brock has to self-sacrifice himself. He has his Jesus moment. And Noel grabs him. He's like, yeah, I'm not really looking for you, Slick. I want that son of yours. Oh, that was wicked. So he rips the symbiote from him and chucks him off the side of a building.
And they're out of here!
The majority of this was, hey, look, we might get an upper hand from the good guys. And it was like, oh, no, he took my pudding. It was so bad. It was so bad, it was so good. Like, I can't describe it any other way. I love it when a villain just absolutely stakes his claim, everything he says he does. And he's like genuinely polite during this whole thing, which made it even better. So if you haven't picked this up, you need to go rush out and get it as quickly as possible, because it's just good comic book writing as of right now. That could always change, but for right now, it was definitely my pick of the week. Definitely check it out. Next, Thor, number 10. I'm liking this too. This is ridiculous. A lot of fewer books this week, a lot more better stuff coming out. So if you fell off, or maybe you just didn't feel like this was your story run, basically what we're dealing with Dr. Blake in this one, the alter ego of Thor. And what we find out is his motivations of why he's become sadistically insane.
I get to be the psycho, trust me. That's the hard part.
And murderous. Because he realized he was a figment of the imagination of a god. In other words, his existence is non-existent. He's nothing. And obviously this is enough to make anybody mad. I mean, yeah, picture, if you will, somebody you've loved or cared for a long period of time just basically looked at you and just disposed of you like you were trash. And that's how Dr. Blake, feels in here. So he's going to start dropping bodies left and right. He's already destroyed Asgard, because technically he is Thor to some degree, or at least has all the knowledge of Thor to the most part. So yeah, and of course he's going to show up on Earth after he gets rid of Asgard and everybody in it, and it was sick watching him use his little scalpel, just like prison shanking people left and right. He was all. I wish I was making that up. If you read this, comment down below. Tell me if that was not an accurate portrayal. But yeah, this was cool. So he pops up down in Earth, and we leave him where he's saying hi to Miss Foster, the female version of Thor. he's saying hi to her. So I'm sure something very sick is about to happen there too. So yeah, I'm on board with this. This is pretty cool. Moving on. Got the Union this week. Not realizing it was going to be a King in Black tie-in, kind of, sort of, like for one panel at the end. Don't know about it. Basically, we just found out what it took to be a member of this. We watched Britannia die in it. Britannia's an older character. She kind of united the United Kingdoms. That's just really bad grammar, but unfortunately it's accurate depiction of this because the entire group, the Union, are from different countries within United Kingdom. We kind of get a snapshot of each one of those, and for the most part they're generic at best. Union Jack is in here. You know who Union Jack is? You don't know who Union Jack is? Union Jack is a British Captain America. That's Yeah, only he doesn't have any real superpowers. He just has like natural athletic ability. When's the last time anybody in the United or Britain? Yeah, we'll say Britain. Yeah, Britain or England. Okay, we'll go with England. When's the last time somebody in England actually got like a gold medal in the Olympics for like a hard sport? Oh, that's gonna burn somebody. Ooh, I know, Bray. Oh, sorry guys, but oh. Okay. And now I picked this one up, as most of you know, my wife picks up Scotty Young covers, or I pick her up Scotty Young covers because she doesn't bother going in.
A woman boss. How progressive.
And I thought this was a fun one for her because it looks like he's farting. And this actually turned out to be a fun book. Now, I know a lot of my viewers out there, I've been very hard on very childish themed books. This is one you could probably read with your kids. It does have the little asterisks where obviously a cuss word does come into play every now and then. But for the most part, it is good. I'm going to block that light for you. See how good I am? I'm so good to you. So this was actually just a fun read. Will I follow it any farther than this? Probably not. I say that questionably because I don't know what's going to happen next time this book comes out. But for the most part, it's just a fun read. Basically, we're dealing with AIM, and MODOK kind of is having visions of him having a family, and a very awkward looking family at that too. And he thinks he's got some sort of programming problem. And of course, AIM being, people trying to reach the top of the ladder, he's having some problems with upper management as they see him kind of distracted by this. Interesting. Oh, he runs to Tony Stark to assist him, which is unheard of. But still, for the most part, it's a fun read at best. All right. Now for my independence this week, and this is where the magic happens. So I picked up this Knock 'em Dead comic book. First off, liked the cover. Wasn't a big fan of the book. First off, it's about stand-up comedians, but they don't tell you the joke. Instead, they do this emoji thing here whenever he's telling a joke, and as we read through it, we find out he starts figuring out how to be funny, I think is the best way to put it.
You think so?
And then, he gets into a car crash with another guy that's giving him advice, and he dies. But for some reason, he's still alive. So he's like the undead. He's the undead comedian. And my guess is he's going to start getting funnier? I don't know. This was weird. I'll give it that. But I would give it a second issue, just to kind of see where it takes us. Maybe. When left with the choice, if, issue 2 of each of these were in there and I could only get one, I'd probably get that one. Just I try not to beat up on independents too much, but all right. Speaking of a good independent this week, and what I said at the intro, we have Erratic. This is good. This is good. You get that Spider-Man teenager awkwardness. You get the superhero version of it. Apparently, he can only have his superpowers for about a certain amount of time. I think it's like 10 minutes or something like that. You get the awkwardness of a new high school. You get a mom that's kind of down on her luck and drunk. And apparently, the universe has people with superpowers in it because his dad got taken away. So it's a single mom at that. And she got scammed from a job. And she's drinking because that's what you do. I hate to say it, but when bad things happen, you may not find the ants are at the bottom of a bottle, but let's be honest, it doesn't hurt to look sometimes. I just justified alcoholism. I'm a horrible person.
Sure.
Anyway, so this is a really good book, and I think it really gives us that feeling that we always wanted to return to when it comes to Spider-Man. Because when you first read the Spider-Man books, he was kind of that awkward, gangly kid that was made fun of, and then all of a sudden clone stuff started happening, and it just got weird after that. But for the most part, just kind of brings you back to that, and his little electronic webby thingies are cool. It's really neat. So definitely high up there on the picks this week. And dear Becky, I think this is going to be my last issue. I'm dropping this at issue 7.
Seriously, it ends here.
Mostly because the diary, it's just the rantings of a sad, angry man, is what I'm starting to realize. And everybody's trying to justify it. The problem with justifying emotions is there's nothing to justify. Your emotions are what they are. So this is getting kind of just boring. At the end, Billy the Butcher took off some heads, literally with an axe. But for the most part, it was just, you were the better part of me, Becky. I loved you so much, Becky. You wouldn't like the man that I've become. I've used what I've learned from you and what I know to be even a worse person. And I'm just like, ugh, this is not very entertaining at this point. So I'm going to be dropping this. So that's my haul this week. What did you pick up? More importantly, what did you think of it? Definitely comment down below. And don't forget, Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, over at Blasting and Stashing Comics, myself, Spectacular Spider Grandpa, and Huey, we're going to sit around and we want to talk comic books with you. We have a live chat that's going on in there, so definitely try to meet up with us. Love to see you there. All right, guys, that's all I got. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Crazy, I like to think of myself as dedicated.